We've been to Yecha today. We saw a celebration, a whole procession in the ancient temple of Yecha. This procession was a very interesting procession and also a rare procession. What we saw is an ancient ritual. The whole community of Yecha came to celebrate the 6th of June with the Ark of Covenant. And the big question that we are asking ourselves, what is the Ark Covenant is doing there? I'm an historian and Egyptologist. My specialty is the story of Exodus. I'm looking for evidence in the ancient Egyptian manuscript for the story. Why Ethiopia? Because one of the turning points in my research is when I realized that the word Messiah is not just a word, but is actually the first name of the first prince of the 18th dynasty. The ceremony in Yecha bears some secrets of the past that none of the ones, I think, who played a role in this ceremony didn't know what they were doing. They were having a practice, a very old practice, thinking that they are doing it in the name of Christianity. But what I saw there was something much, much earlier than that.
אנחנו לא יודעים מתי ובאילו נסיבות הגיעה הקהילה הזאת לאתיופיה. אני לא יכול להכריע בין התיאוריות הרבות והשונות, אני יכול להגיד לך לאן ליבי נוטה. הם כנראה שייכים ליהדות של שלהי בית שני.
I was struck to see that some of the artifacts and some of the ceramic that they are still making in Ethiopia bear some of the Jewish symbol. They are still creating a small bark which they call the box of love, which bears the story of the Queen of Sheba and the King Solomon. So the Jewish religion, if I can say, a Jewish practice, you can still see it in Ethiopia till today.
When you are dealing with Ethiopian studies, the consensus is that Beta Israel, or what you can call today Ethiopian Jews, it's a group that developed inside Ethiopia, from Ethiopian sources.
אין בכל אתיופיה ולו כפר אחד של ביתא ישראל שהוא לא נמצא במרחק הליכה קצר לנהר. כי הדבר שהכי חשוב לך זה שיהיה לך אפשרות זמינה לטבילה. ולכן כל הכפרים ממוקמים ללא יוצא מן הכלל במרחק הליכה קצר מנהר, שזה מקור הטהרה. אז אתה רואה פתאום את בית שני, את יהודי בית שני שכל כך הקפידו על טומאה וטהרה, פתאום אתה רואה אותם בכפר האתיופיה.
Another connection that I see between Ethiopia and the story of Exodus is if we are looking at the names of the entourage of Moses, who are the ones that helped him during this war. So we have Yoshua bin Nun, which was an Egyptian, the son of Nun. Nun is one of the ancient Egyptian goddess. We have Hur, which is Horus in ancient Egyptian, and we have Pinchas. Pinchas in ancient Egyptian means Panersi. Panersi is the Ethiopian. And so one of the interesting things is the connection between Moses and Ethiopia was a very strong connection.
Nobody still challenged this main idea that was developed in 91 by Steve Kaplan, that Ethiopian Jews are an indigenous phenomenon.
In 4th century, Abba Salama or Abba Fremnatos to introduce of Christianity by communicating with Abraham Atzha, with the first king of Ethiopia. The first king of Ethiopia also accepted the entrance of Christianity from Egypt.
The Ethiopian church is part of the group of churches called anti-Chalcedonian churches. In the year 451, there was a council, a very important council in the history of the church in Chalcedon, that it's today part of Turkey. And the main debate inside the council was nature of Jesus Christ. And there were 2 points of view, that Jesus Christ had 2 natures, one human and one divine, that they coexist in Jesus Christ but separately. And the other part, what you can call Monophysite, there was the other party that strengthened that Jesus Christ have only one nature. There is the human and the divine mixed. And the Monophysites were the losers. But the Ethiopian church, they don't recognize the Council of Chalcedon as a legitimate council.
בניגוד לנצרות שבכל העולם, לנצרות המערבית ובכלל לנצרות, שבשלב יחסית מוקדם, דור שלישי לישו, פאולוס, מבטל את המצוות המעשיות, ואומר שמצוות התנ"ך הם סמלים, שאם התנ"ך אומר למול, הוא לא מתכוון למול את עורלת הגוף, הוא מתכוון למול את עורלת הלב. ואם התנ"ך אומר שלא לאכול חמץ, הוא לא מתכוון שלא תאכל פיתה שקצת תפחה, הוא מתכוון שלא תחמיץ, שלא תפספס את הכוונות הטובות שלך. הנצרות האתיופית אמרה לא, אמרה התנ"ך זה מחייב הלכה למעשה.
There are some cultural things which explain that Ethiopia had some kind of relation, the Ethiopia area has some relation with Judaizing, you know, pre-Aksum, even before Aksum. There are many evidence for this. For example, some cultural things, circumcision on 8th day. The dietary habits. For example, many Ethiopians do not consume pork. Yeah, I know some educated Ethiopians coming from Western countries consuming pork, etc. Yeah, but these are very few. So Ethiopians do not touch, any animal not permitted in the Tanakh.
Missionaries coming from Portugal to Ethiopia in the 17th century, trying to make Ethiopia a Catholic country instead of a Christian country. And coming from Portugal of the 17th century, they were shocked by the fact that Ethiopians were taking care of Shabbat. They were observing Shabbat, they were observing circumcision, and they were observing dietary restrictions. And all the way, they are just blaming the Ethiopians of practicing Jewish practices.
מצד אחד, היהודים, או לפחות בני ישראל הכתומים, הם העם הנבחר, ואנחנו, הנוצרים האתיופים, ממשיכים את דרכם, לא רק בזה שאנחנו ממשיכים את הדת הנכונה, שקיבלנו עוד משלמה המלך, וכמובן שומרים גם על המצוות שקיבלנו משלמה המלך, למשל לא לאכול חזיר, דברים כאלה, או לשמור את השבת. מצד שני, היהודים מתוארים בטקסט בתור אלה שלא קיבלו את ישו, שהתכחשו לאמת האלוהית שניתנה פעם נוספת בזמנו של ישו, ולכן הם כופרים בדת הנכונה.
One of the main confusions we have with the terms Christianity and Judaism in Ethiopia is that we try to apply the terms that we know from other parts of the world as binary terms. I mean, if you are Christian, you are not Jewish. If you are Jewish, you are not Christian. And try to apply them to Ethiopian culture, and it doesn't work. Because the Ethiopians, they believe that they are themselves Israelites. They are descendants from the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon, or at least their emperors. And they also believe with a strong connection with Jerusalem for that the same reason.
Okay, Kiddush. So last time we've been to Uko, there was an inscription around the altar. And when you translated the inscription, some of the words were Ishtar. The second word was Zavach. Right? A year ago, my first travel to Ethiopia, I met Kiddush in the temple of Yecha. He was having, tours there. He's a tour guide also from Yecha. He's the highest principal of the tour guide there. And we had a connection, and I told him that I'm an Egyptologist researching the moon cult. And he contacted me 2 months ago saying that they found a new altar, and that he's inviting me also to take part, of a very special ritual that they are doing in Yecha once a year.
One. In English, in Sabean, Ahad.
Ahad. So one in English is Ahad in Sabean, the same as Hebrew. Okay.
In English, Sanai.
Shanai. Shanai in Sabean sounds like the Hebrew Shnaim.
Good.
Okay, so we have two already. Yes.
Tov Mo'od.
Tov Me'od. Let's go for the three. Number 3.
Sri Salas.
Salash.
Salas.
Salash in Hebrew, we say
good.
Shalosh. So there is also in
Nearly the same.
Nearly the same.
Nefs is nefs, like this. Soul.
Soul? Nefesh, wow. I was very surprised. I didn't know that. I mean, this is something that I discovered in my last trip when Kiddush, could read the Sabean inscription, and slowly we saw that many Hebrew words happens to be the same in Sabean.
If you take the lexicon of Amharic, you have similarity. I can give you some examples. For example, the word for eye is Ein in Amharic, like in Hebrew. Blood is Dem in Amharic, Dam in Hebrew. Baal, in Hebrew it is Baal in Amharic. The Semitic language is a subfamily by itself, so it has many members. The main ones are, these are Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, South Arabian, Ethio-Semitic languages such as Ge'ez, and Tigrinya, and Amharic. So if there is some relation between Ge'ez and Hebrew, it should not surprise you because they belong to the same family, to the Semitic family.
The fact that these specific words are in Ethiopic and they are not in other Semitic languages outside Hebrew or Jewish Aramaic points out to the fact that Jews had contact with old Christian Ethiopia at some point of history.
Some of the linguistic experts will say it's all part of a Semitic language. This is why we see the resemblance between different dialects or different parts of the Semitic people. As a linguist, I can tell you also that a language is always a reflection of a theology. So for me, when I look at that, I understand that they were all part of the ancient Near East. But having a language, it's also a stamp for having and bearing the same principle of the theology. And it means that every symbol also is a reflection of God. So when you are looking at the symbols, you have to understand that all of them are based onto principles that are part of the same ideology and of course of the same theology. And if you can bear the same God.
The Western people, to see is to believe, yeah? Religious is not proof. The Ark is in here.
It comes from a book written between the 14th, 13th, and 14th century that it's called Kebra Nagast. This book explained the relation of the Ethiopian nation towards the Ark of the Covenant in Jerusalem.
הספר כבוד המלכים נחשב לאפוס הלאומי האתיופי, מה שאומר פחות או יותר שא' מכירים אותו מאוד בעולם, הוא מזוהה עם התרבות האתיופית, הוא תורגם להרבה מאוד שפות, וב' שכל אתיופי, בוודאי כל אתיופי נוצרי, מכיר איזושהי גרסה שלו.
The Queen of Sheba has a son from Solomon, the name of the son was Menilek.
משלחת גדולה יוצאת מאתיופיה לירושלים כדי לפגוש את אבא של מנילק, את אבא של בנה של מלכת שבא. והם מתקבלים בברכה בארמונות של שלמה המלך ובבית המקדש, ורואים את כל הפאר וההדר. לפני שהם נפרדים, המלך שלמה שואל את הבן שלו, איזה מתנה אתה רוצה שאני אתן לך? והבן אומר, אני הייתי רוצה דגם של ארון הברית. ובלילה האחרון הולכים המשרתים של מנילק, נכנסים לקודש הקודשים, שולפים את הארון המקורי, שמים את הארון המדומה, ולמחרת בבוקר יוצאים למסע לאתיופיה.
Today, the Ark of Moses of the Ark of the Covenant is in here, in the blue window. In Ethiopia, we have more than 50,000 plus churches and monasteries. In each church, one copy Ark of the Covenant. Without a copy, no church-like house.
How the church is built, it reminds you the Holy Temple. You know, it has three parts: the outside circle, the middle circle, and the inner circle. The inner circle is known as Kedusha Kedusan, Kodesh HaKadoshim in Hebrew, yeah, where they preserve the Ark of the Covenant, which is known as Tabot in Ge'ez, or Teva in Hebrew.
I'm so happy, thank you. Really. I was struck with my visit, actually my first visit to Aksum, when Zemichale took me to a special room that they have there in the St. Mary Zion Church when they are holding ancient artifacts and objects from the church. I was struck with three pieces. The first one was an ancient cover of the Ark of Covenant, which bear the symbol of the moon symbol, and it was all over the cover. Another piece that was interesting is also the dress and the coat of the high priest of the church, which also bear the same symbol. And the last one was the stick that bears the Star of David in the circle. There are other places in Ethiopia that we found the same cover. One of them happened in the ceremony in Yecha, when they took the Ark of Covenant, the replica of the Ark of Covenant, covered with the same, if I can say, blanket or cover, parochet, we say in Hebrew, and also the same moon symbol. We are talking about the full moon, which has 6 beams all around it. And this is the same symbol that we found also in the Saint Meritzion, the same symbol there. And also in one of the churches in Ethiopia, the church of Abba Garima. When we entered the church, we also saw there a replica of the same cover. So the symbol of, if I can say, the blanket or the cover of the Ark of Covenant, we could see it at least in 3 places, if not more, in Ethiopia. And in all these places, they are keeping the same colors and the same moon symbol. So how is the connection between the Aksum kingdom and the moon cult? Because it was a different kingdom.
Before the introduction of Christianity to the Aksumite Empire, where those ancient people, they may live in moon and sun discs. They have a common god for Aksum and Thousand Arabians, known as Al-Muqa.
Al-Muqa, and Al-Muqa was a moon god.
The moon god.
The moon god.
Yeah,
we saw it in Mekwai.
In Yeha also
Yes.
here we have. That's why that we have on top DC, on the apex of the stele,
Yes.
we have the moon crescent.
The moon crescent.
Yeah, so they were worshipped in moon and sun.
Where is the sun?
The sun we have at the back.
So they continue to worship Al-Muqa? Al-Muqa, which is the moon god.
The moon god.
Okay, still in the Aksum kingdom.
Yeah, during the before the introduction of Christianity.
Usually the obelisk symbolize a victory of a king over his enemies. And here they are using the same obelisk as tombs, but also a victory. And my question is, and my assumption is that the victory is over the moon kingdom. We used to have the moon kingdom here in the land of Aksum. The land of Aksum used to be called the land of Yecha, which was the kingdom of the moon. And what we have here, the symbol of the kingship. We are here in the museum of the temple of Yecha. All the artifacts that we see right here are the artifacts that were found in the temple of Yecha, in the moon temple. And the beautiful thing that we are seeing here also is that we have the sign of the moon god that was called here, what was named here El-Muqa. So we have the crescent, and the crescent is facing upwards. It's an interesting sign because we find also this sign also in the hieroglyphic scripture, in the name of the prince Ahmose, which bears also the sign of the moon god.
The moon cult are found in the pre-Aksumite sites, and these pre-Aksumite sites are associated with the Diamat kingdom, and we have these major centers of the Diamat kingdom, like at Yeha. The time frame is approximately from the 8th century to the 5th century BC, because from about the 5th, 4th century BC, the Diamat kingdom declined or totally collapsed. Of course, there is still a very difficult question. People say, if the Ark of Covenant was there in Aksum, and if the people were still practicing the Old Testament, then why was King Izana and his associates worshipping the god Mahrem, for example? That's still very difficult question that has to be answered in the future.
The moon is a very conspicuous heavenly body, and it was important for the people in the ancient world for different reasons. For example, for telling time. If you go out and look at the moon at night, you can tell fairly precisely on what date it is in the lunar month. The moon also was useful for navigating. Fertility was an important sphere of responsibility of the moon god in Mesopotamia.
Now we are just right. We are in a place called Makawa Gawa, which is supposed to be among the pre-Aksumite moon temple places. An inscription is found on altar being inscribed, so it bears the name Waran and the name Ashtar. Ashtar is given to the goddess, which was the fertility god.
Here, for example, the inscription says, "You, Almoka, may you give her child." So still Almoka was a very superior god during this time, and they are begging him to give her a child.
Is there any connection between the Ark of the Covenant and the cult and the moon temple cult? I can say some certain, yes, because when you see the cult of the moon, they did have a blood of animal to be offered for Almaka and incense. So they offer incense and the blood. Even in the Judaism during the Ark of the Covenant, they offer also blood and incense.
In the story of Exodus, we can even see a conflict between the moon people and the sun people. The theology of the moon speaks about freedom, speaks about helping others, speaks about wisdom. It was a theology also that respected and saw the woman as a leader of wisdom, of creativity, of, I would say, fertility as well. And it was a theology of embracing and helping one another. This shared responsibility that they share among all the tribes was part of this theology. On the other side, the other theology, the theology of the sun, that the main center of this theology was teaching, spoke about different values. Is it possible that this kingdom was part of, I would say, our ancestor, or part of our ancient history? Is it possible that maybe we have roots in our Judaism, if I can say, in our pre-Israelite tradition, if we have roots and are connected to the moon god? And along the history, by different regime, different political change, slowly, we forgot. We are here in the village, in the ancient site of Eresmai. And Kiddush is telling me that this is a site that wasn't excavated, but there is one family that sits really on the top of one of the temples. So he's asking me, he said, let's go and say hello to, to the woman there. Maybe she will help us and find some, maybe she has some insight or artifact that she could find in the place, because as I said before, this place was not excavated till now. And then she's saying that there is a man who found an inscription, an ancient inscription, and he's hiding this inscription in his home. So Kiddush spoke to him and he said, why I'm here? And he said, yes, I'm willing to show you the inscription. And this inscription, nobody saw this inscription before. So everybody is waiting to see the inscription with us. Suddenly, the man is going out from his house with a block of stone and full of dust, and putting the stone in front of us on the ground. And Kiddush is looking at me. I said, Galit, I know how to read Sabean. And I said, really? Okay. We could see the letters coming from, from the dust. We poured some water also to, bring the letters out. It was really a moment that I will never forget. And slowly, the words are coming. The first word was help, then support, then success, then complete. And then, we could understand this beautiful inscription that was saying how important it is to help and support other people. This is the only way that you can reach success, and complete success, only when you give yourself, only when you help others. And I read a lot about the moon theology. and the legends and the mythology that was around it. But for the first time, I saw the inscription. It was for me another proof that this was really, one of the principles that, guided the Moon people is help and help each other. We are here now in Ethiopia, and I'm making this trip in a very special time of the year. Because for the Jewish people, this is what we call Chag HaShavuot. This is the time in Judaism when everybody wears white, everybody eats dairy only. It's the time of the temple. It's also the time we believe that the people of Israel got the Torah in Mount Sinai. For the Muslim, this is also the time for them of the Ramadan. So I'm asking myself, the fact that we are here in the land of Ethiopia at this time of the year, when all the three main religions of the world, somehow there is a connection to the moon god. Is it possible that all of us were moon people before? And if we were moon people before, it means that we were one people.